weeks ago, Pastor Jean asked me if the youth would be willing to lead the service because the majority of the band will be gone. So before I commit myself to something that I'm going to have to put a lot of work into, I go online and I look what the projected or the suggested readings are going to be. So I read it and I read the gospel and I see that it's fishing, breakfast, do you love me, feed my sheep, Jesus, and Peter. What am I going to say? So I do what any typical young person will do. I Google it because Google knows everything. So I look it up and nothing's really striking me as something I want to do. Nothing's really hitting at me, nothing's standing out to me. I got nothing. So I just, what I do what I normally do. Yeah, forget about it. I got a good month or two. We're good. Procrastination at its best. So I go on and I continue on. I think I had a Bible study that week. And I go to one of my favorite resources that I use a lot. It's the Skit Guys. And you're going to see in a minute, I chose one of their skits that I'm going to kind of piggyback on. Now, before we show this is a skit, so it's not the actual wording in the Bible. So there's going to be a couple discrepancies you'll see. But anyway, here is the video. It's called Grace, if you didn't figure it out by now. And yeah, we're going to go from there.
Grace is God's unmerited favor for us, His crazy love. And the truth is, many times we struggle understanding it. If you find yourself struggling to understand God's grace, don't beat yourself up. Even the disciples struggled with understanding grace.
Jesus, is that you? You're alive. I can't believe you're alive. Okay, I was in the boat and I wasn't catching any fish, okay? But I heard this voice and the voice said, cast your net to the other side. And so I'm thinking, I'm a fisherman, I know what I'm doing, but I'm not catching any fish, you know? And so I throw that net over there and then a gaggle of fish pop into that net and I'm going, this is a total miracle. Who could have done that? I need to know who told me to throw the net to the other side. And boom, I look up and I mean, there is you. You're looking at me on the seashore going, it is I, the Lord, and you're alive. I can't believe you're alive. This is awesome. Andrew, get out of the boat. Come on.
Peter.
Yeah.
Do you love me?
Yes, I love you. I love you. You're alive. This is so great.
Good, then feed my sheep.
Andrew, get out of the boat. Come on, man. It's him.
Peter.
Yeah.
Do you love me?
I love you, yes. And I'm so sorry about that rooster clucking. I had no idea what that meant, but I do now. I'm better for it, all right? Okay?
Then feed my sheep.
Andrew, I'm smiling, but I'm serious. Come on, get out of the boat. It's him.
Peter.
Yeah.
Do you love me?
Jesus, mere words cannot describe the passion that I have for you. I love you. You know everything. I love you.
Good. Good. Then feed my sheep.
I didn't even know you had livestock. That is so like you, though. There's something new about you all the time. That's what I love about you.
Peter,
yeah.
Do you remember the morning the ladies went to the tomb?
Yeah. We're all in the upper room trying to figure out what to do next, you know, because we thought you were dead. You know, you were dead, you know, and we're trying to figure all that out, you know. And Mary comes running up, and Mary's like saying, beehive, beehive, beehive. And I'm thinking, I'm allergic to bees. Like, keep them out, you know what I'm saying? But as she kept getting closer, I heard her correctly. She was saying, he's alive, he's alive, he's alive. And we're going, who's alive, who's alive? And she said, she was at the tomb, and the tomb was empty, and she said that there was an angel there, and the angel said, go tell the disciples and Peter that everything is okay, he is risen. And so me and John, we hightailed it down there, and if John says he beat me, he's totally lying, all right? I beat him, FYI, all right, you know? And we get down there, and I'm looking in that tomb, and it is empty. There's nothing in there, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, what does this mean? What does this mean? And John is right there. John is so good with words. He should write a book. He is so good with words. And John said, don't you get it, Peter? This is everything Jesus said he was going to do, and you did it, and it's done. Let's go. This is so great.
Wait, the angel said what?
Go tell the disciples and Peter that everything is okay. He is risen. You've risen. Let's go.
He said what?
Go tell the disciples and Peter. Go tell the disciples and Peter. You said my name. Why did you say my name?
Peter, that's grace.
No, I don't deserve that, because that night people kept coming up to me asking me if I belonged to you, if I was with you, and I kept denying you left and right, all right? No, it'll take me my whole life to make up for what I did. It was unforgivable for what I did.
No. What I did on the cross was meant to take what is unforgivable and make it forgivable. That's my grace. It's not about you. It's always about me. That's grace, Peter.
The first time I watched that, Peter reminded me of Morgan. Don't tell him I said it. He reminded me of Morgan. Grace. What is it? I think the video did a pretty good job of describing what grace is, but I wanted to dig a little deeper. So, I go to the dictionary. Helped me when I was in school. So, grace. Here's the definition. Unmerited divine assistance, approval, favor, mercy, pardon, and privilege. 7 minutes, because I was told I had to go 7 minutes. You all learned something, right? We're good. I can sit down. I didn't think so. So, does it really answer the question of what grace is? For me, it sounds fantastic. Unmerited divine assistance. If I talk like that, dang, I'd sound pretty darn smart, wouldn't I? Yeah, except I don't. So, it left me wanting more. So, I guess I should go a little bit farther into this sermon. The way I try to have youth group Bible study set up is that I do very little talking. I try. I ask them questions, they ask me questions, we go back and forth. I try not to stand up there and preach, and I try not to let anybody stand up there and preach because I want it to be an open communication type of setting. So this past Wednesday, I was talking to David, Jesse, Skylar, Colleen, I don't know, Adam was there, Jared was there. There was a couple of us there. And when something's weighing on my mind and I need a question, I kind of go to them. So I was telling them I have the sermon in like 4 days, haven't really looked at it yet. And I asked them, I'm really struggling with the idea of grace and forgiveness. Because to me, I couldn't decipher what the difference was. Grace to me is forgiveness, but it had to be more than just forgiveness. So I was confused. So I, of course, go to these guys. They're high school kids. They know it all. They tell me. So we started the discussion. I said, what's the difference between grace and forgiveness? And what really is grace if grace isn't forgiveness? I was confused when I asked, don't worry. So they started talking, and Skylar kind of came up with a really good answer for me. He said something like this. A person in your family is murdered. As the victim's family, you might be able to forgive the person who did the crime, but it's most likely that you will never truly love them or accept them. Grace is going a step farther. Grace is forgiving them and truly accepting them and truly loving them. God's grace is inviting you, the sinner, we are all saints and sinners, to back to his table to eat with him. That's grace. So, David, being David, rock on. He's singing Grace Like Rain, so I just have to put that in. He goes, Katie, grace is like rain. I'm like, okay, you gotta go a little farther than this, David, because that means nothing to me. He goes, okay, so pretend you're a farmer in the field. Do we need rain? Do we deserve the rain? Probably not, because we've all done stupid things, but do we need it? Most definitely. So grace is like rain, Katie. We might not deserve it, but we get it anyways. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense, definitely. I can go with that one. So, at times, these kids truly amaze me. I think at that point I was 100% humbled by what they said because they taught me something. And I was greatly because I'm going to go from what Skylar said and what David said and go from there. So you can thank the kids, they wrote the sermon. Paul describes grace in Ephesians as the completely undeserved loving commitment of God. For some unknown reason, that's the nature of who God is. God gives himself to us, attaches himself to us, and acts to rescue us. Because of God's love and mercy, we have been saved. Grace. Paul even wrote in Ephesians that once you were dead, doomed forever because of your many sins. That doesn't sound great. So, God gave us grace. We are no longer doomed, but we are all saved. After I talked to the kids and I read Ephesians, I couldn't help but think, man, I am not perfect. I screw up a lot. Do I really deserve God's grace? I find myself tripping over the same stumbling blocks over and over and over and over and over and over. But I couldn't get it. I couldn't grasp that kind of love. And I think the parents in the room can totally understand that kind of love. Because no matter what your kids do, you're always going to love them. They can do the dumbest thing in the world, but yet you're still going to accept them back in. That's kind of what grace is. In Psalms 103:13, it says, "As a father has compassion on his kids, so the Lord has compassion on his followers, us." That gave me hope. Parents, you understand that. It's good. Peter denied Jesus 3 times. We all know the story. The cock crowed after the 3rd time. But today, Jesus came back to Peter, and 3 times he asked him, "Do you love me?" Coincidence? I don't think so. By saying, "Do you love me?" 3 times, it kind of like wiped out, "I don't know Jesus" 3 times. That's grace. Jesus said Peter's name, and he says yours too. It doesn't matter what you're going through, what you've done, what you've gone through, or even if you truly deserve it. He says your name, and that, it makes all the difference in the world. I'm going to end today with a little story about God's baseball team. My brother shared it with me on Thursday night, and I thought, what a great way to end the sermon. So, God's baseball team. Bob and the Lord stood by to observe a baseball team. The Lord's team was playing Satan's team. The Lord's team was at bat, score, tied, nothing to nothing. So, we were at the bottom of the ninth, 2 innings out, and the batter comes up. Named Love. Love swung at the first pitch and hit a single, because love never fails. The next batter was named Faith. He gets up, and Satan pitches, and he swings, and he gets on first base too. So, next up, Godly Wisdom. Satan wound up through the first pitch, Godly Wisdom looked it over, and then passed. Ball 1. 3 more pitches, Godly Wisdom walked, because Godly Wisdom never swings at what Satan throws. The bases are loaded. The Lord then turns to Bob and told him that he was now going to bring a star player. Up stood Grace. Doesn't look like much. Scrawny little kid, never swings, never hits, nothing. Not good. So, Satan's whole team relaxed. They think, "Oh, cool, we got this. We won. Woohoo, time to party. We just won the game." So, throws the ball. He swings harder than anybody has ever swung before, and he hits the ball. And it's going, and it's going. But Satan goes, "We got this covered. I got this awesome outfielder that can catch anything that's going to him." So he went up for the ball, went right through his glove, hit him on the head, and even went a little farther, and he got a home run, bringing everybody home. The Lord's team won. The Lord then asked Bob if they knew why love, faith, and wisdom couldn't get on base, or could get on base, but couldn't win the game. Bob goes, I don't know. The Lord explained, if your love, faith, and wisdom had won the game, you would think you had done it by yourself. Love, faith, and wisdom will get you on base, but my grace can get you home. My grace is the only thing Satan cannot steal. Amen.